Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcasts. We're diving deep into a massive change happening right now. We're talking about how AI isn't just a shiny new feature you bolt onto a workflow.
Not at all.
It's becoming the absolute core of institutional memory itself. And today, we're zeroing in on the big enterprise offerings. Microsoft Copilot, Google's Gemini, and of course, ChatGPT Enterprise. We've got a huge stack of sources and analysis to get through.
And this whole deep dive, it's really about one thing. It's about addressing probably the biggest organizational flaw that exists in almost every single company.
Which is what?
Every organization genuinely believes it remembers what it decided last quarter or last year. The truth is, most, and I mean emphatically, do not.
It's a tragedy of context, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've all done this. We outsourced our memory to tools like Teams or Slack or Google Meet.
Yeah.
And they're great at capturing the raw conversation. They archive it,
Yeah.
they transcribe it perfectly, but they never explain what that conversation actually meant.
That's the critical gap right there. The difference between just archiving raw input and providing true contextual understanding. Our mission today is to really explore how these platforms are moving beyond simple search.
They're providing recall with context.
Exactly. We are here to answer the single most dangerous question in modern business.
Oh, I know this one.
Did we already decide this? And if so, where is the damn proof?
I feel that question deep in my soul. I mean, let's look at the scenario you shared from the documentation, the Jane Doe case.
Right.
She's running a huge project, and suddenly she needs to consolidate decisions that involve the legal team. And they're scattered across, 20 different meetings, 100 chat threads over a whole month.
And her only option before this was to spend days just endlessly scrolling.
Scrolling and guessing. Trying to piece together these tiny fragments of context. That's the path by which, as the sources articulate, risk quietly enters the room.
And the core benefit of the new systems isn't just speed, it's clarity. It's the difference between having 20 pages of raw transcript and
A billeted executive summary.
a summary that says, here's what was agreed upon, here's who owns the action item, and here are the budgetary assumptions that are still hanging out there, unresolved. It turns that organizational fog into a reliable record.
Okay, let's unpack this. I want to start with the most common strategic confusion I see out there.
Let's do it.
If Copilot, Gemini, and ChatGPT often use models from the same underlying family, or at least models of similar power, why do they feel so different? Why do they have such distinct personalities in an enterprise setting? Is it just branding?
That assumption that the model equals the system, that is the fundamental mistake. We just have to stop thinking that way. The model is absolutely vital, don't get me wrong, it's the high horsepower engine.
Right.
But what really dictates performance and trustworthiness and compliance is the vehicle that engine is bolted into. It's the whole system around it, the environment, the data access it inherits, the guardrails.
I love that analogy. So even if the engine has the same horsepower, it's the chassis, the transmission, the security systems that changes the entire value proposition.
Completely. And the job the AI can actually do.
So let's look at these different postures of intelligence, as you call them, starting with the two big embedded assistants.
Right, the built-in execution layers. So first, you have Microsoft Copilot. It's designed from the ground up to live deep inside the Microsoft 365 environment. Its optimization is squarely on execution.
Like what? Give me an example.
Summarize this hour-long Teams meeting for me. Draft a follow-up email based on the decisions we just made. Or, turn this raw data into a pivot table in Excel. It is pure inflow assistance.
All focused on moving your daily tasks forward.
Entirely.
And Google Gemini for Workspace is pretty much its natural counterpart, right?
It's the direct equivalent, yeah. Operating with that same deeply embedded intelligence inside the Google world, Gmail, Docs, Drive, Meet. It's also optimized for execution just inside that specific productivity suite.
So they're both incredibly effective, but they're defined by the walls of their respective offices.
That's the perfect way to put it. They are task-centric, but only within their domain. But here's where the strategy pivots. You have ChatGPT Enterprise playing a completely different role. The sources call it a neutral reasoning environment.
It doesn't live inside my email.
Yep. It steps back.
So if Copilot and Gemini are focused on doing the work, what is ChatGPT Enterprise focused on?
It's optimized for sense-making, for systems analysis. It's not asking, how do I summarize this one document?
It's asking a bigger question.
It's asking, what pattern of activity is consistent across all sales team documents from the last 6 months? Where are our key projects stalling? What is the trend line on legal risk if you look at 1,000 of our contracts?
Give us a concrete scenario where that difference really matters. What does ChatGPT Enterprise find that Copilot might not because it's limited to its individual tasks?
Okay, so Copilot can definitely help Jane Doe draft a flawless, legally compliant email announcing the latest project decision. That's execution. Yeah.
But if Jane feeds the entire corpus of organizational documents into ChatGPT Enterprise, that system might come back and reveal that the same decision has been attempted and then silently abandoned by 3 different regional teams over the last year.
Wow.
It identifies an underlying cultural or, a resource failure the organization never even acknowledged. That is, systems analysis versus task execution.
That distinction, execution versus identifying systemic failure that's absolutely critical for anyone in strategy.
It is.
It clarifies the whole analogy for the listener. Copilot and Gemini are like these hyper-efficient, super secure assistants, but they're locked inside 2 sovereign office buildings, Office M and Office G.
And each one knows its own buildings, files, and processes perfectly.
And ChatGPT is the highly paid cross-functional consultant. It doesn't manage the day-to-day of Office M or Office G, but because it has clearance to review data from both.
It can see the high-level patterns. It can walk between the buildings and present leadership with the unified, bigger picture view. That brings up a really important question, though. If they're so sovereign, and we know many organizations use both Microsoft and Google suites,
A lot of them do.
this highlights a critical operational gap. There is no native brain-to-brain bridge between Copilot and Gemini. They are, as you said, sovereign systems.
That's absolutely right. And the strategy here requires choosing one primary productivity suite, accepting that its AI assistant will be great for execution there, and then intentionally layering on a neutral reasoning tool, like ChatGPT Enterprise, to handle that cross-boundary analysis.
So trying to force Copilot and Gemini to talk to each other is a fool's errand.
Total fool's errand.
Speaking of intentional design, let's talk about guardrails. If these systems are so powerful, how do we stop them from going rogue or, just generating complete rubbish?
Well, the constraints that are placed on these systems, they're not just technical limitations, they actually define the value proposition. What's fascinating is how the constraint for Copilot is an intended feature. Microsoft supports millions of companies, many in highly regulated industries like finance or healthcare.
Right, they can't afford mistakes.
Exactly. So Copilot is intentionally built to avoid speculation. It stays extremely close to approved, regulated, internal data. That predictable output, that reliable adherence to documented truth, that's its core strength.
So it's designed to be trustworthy, highly accountable, and almost boringly factual.
That's a good way to put it.
Even if that means sometimes it feels less creatively insightful than a general purpose model. It trades imaginative freedom for institutional reliability.
That is the trade-off, precisely. Meanwhile, ChatGPT Enterprise is designed as that pure reasoning environment we talked about. It has allowed the freedom to connect dots across disparate contexts, to synthesize ambiguities.
To challenge the assumptions that are locked in different documents.
Yes. But that freedom, as you can imagine, means it inherently carries a higher risk of speculative or creatively wrong outputs.
It's that consultant who might suggest something brilliant, but totally outside the box.
And therefore requires that human-in-the-loop oversight to actually validate the conclusions.
Right, a reality check.
Exactly. The posture defines the constraint, and the constraint defines the human trust model you need. Copilot feels like a powerful, deeply integrated feature you can implicitly trust within its domain. ChatGPT feels like a thinking partner that needs that occasional check-in.
All right, let's get to the responsible questions, the ones every CISO asks immediately. Security, privacy, trust.
The big ones.
Is using these tools, training the global model. Is my company's data exposed? This is where the dry facts meet some very real anxiety.
Okay, here are the core facts right out of the compliance docs. First, and this is the most important one, AI systems inherit your existing permissions.
That is a crucial point across all three.
It is. If you cannot see a file or a meeting, the AI cannot either. The security model is already there. The AI just follows it.
Which means the AI doesn't create chaos. It exposes it.
Oh, absolutely.
If you've been sloppy with your permissions for a decade, the AI will just make those sloppy files easily accessible to anyone who shouldn't see them, but has the technical clearance to.
That is the reality check we all have to face. AI mercilessly exposes poor data hygiene. Secondly, and this is a definitive commitment from Microsoft, Google, and OpenAI, your proprietary organizational data is not used to train their global models by default.
It really is like a temporary consultant.
It is.
It reads the internal notes you give it, helps you reach a conclusion, and then essentially hands the notes back and forgets your specific business entirely.
It does not use Jane Doe's legal secrets to get smarter for the next company it advises. That's the foundational commitment. Now, for the IT leaders listening, we do need to dive into the specifics a bit.
Let's do it. Let's start with Microsoft 365 Copilot. We know it lives in that ecosystem, but what are the specific security commitments?
So M365 Copilot fully complies with GDPR and respects the EU data boundary. Critically, it processes data exclusively using Azure OpenAI services, not the public stuff.
So the data never leaves the M365 service boundary.
It stays right there. And it honors existing controls like Microsoft Purview information protection, so sensitivity labels on files are respected. They also made the specific commitment of opting out of human abuse monitoring for their services, which is a huge win for privacy.
That is incredibly robust. You're basically inheriting the entire security posture of Azure. What about Google Gemini for Workspace?
Google has an equally staggering list of certifications.
Yeah.
SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3, and the very relevant ISO standard for AI management systems, 42001.
Okay, what does that alphabet soup mean for me, the user? What does ISO 42001 mean for Jane Doe?
It means the system has been externally audited and certified to manage AI risks responsibly. But maybe the strongest privacy commitment for Gemini is its data retention policy.
Which is?
In Workspace apps, your prompts and the AI's responses are not retained after the session ends. They vanish.
Unless you explicitly save them.
Exactly, unless you save it to a doc. All the processing is governed by their Cloud Data Processing Addendum, which is very robust.
That's a very strong commitment to ephemerality. Okay, finally, the cross-system consultant. OpenAI's ChatGPT Enterprise. How do they lock it down?
OpenAI has also invested heavily in enterprise-grade security. Data is encrypted at rest with AES 256 and in transit with TLS 1.2 plus MET. They give customers fine-grained control over data retention. Deleted conversations are gone from their systems within 30 days. And they've also completed their SOC 2 Type 2 audit and hold various ISO certifications.
So the foundation of security permissions, inheritance, robust encryption, and that critical non-training commitment, it's standardized across all three major players.
It is. You cannot blame the AI vendor for a security breach if your own internal controls are weak.
And this brings us to the strategic takeaway you sourced, which I think is the most profound realization of this whole thing.
Yeah.
AI does not create organizational chaos. It relentlessly, accurately, and ruthlessly exposes it.
It's the ultimate truth serum.
I mean,
Success with these systems depends just as much on the quality of your organizational data hygiene as it does on the sophistication of the AI model.
so if my meetings are a mess, my documents aren't tagged, my permissions are a complete disaster.
If your permissions are a goddamn mess, the AI will simply reflect that mess back to you, sometimes with alarming clarity. It leads to bad synthesis.
The responsibility is still on the organization to clean its own data house. The technology just transforms the recording of what happened in Teams or Meet.
Into explaining what it meant. That's a whole shift.
And when context is no longer fleeting, when understanding becomes reliable, instead of depending on who remembers best.
Confusion loses its hiding place. Decisions stick, accountability sharpens, and progress stops slipping through the cracks of forgotten context. The answer to that dangerous question, did we already decide this, becomes a simple query, not a detective game.
That is the quiet shift. We started with the single most dangerous question in modern business. So now that AI can provide a virtually perfect institutional memory, does the success of a business become less about finding the right answers and more about consistently asking the right, difficult, challenging questions of the system? Thanks for listening to the Reflect Podcast, where we're telling the future. Are you in it? Visit reflectpodcast.com and share your story.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, it's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.